Okay, so when you're editing, one of the things you want to be really aware of are the horizon lines or any straight lines in the background that will look off to the human eye when you're looking at a photograph. It makes a very big difference in the picture looking professional and cleanly edited. It's a subtle difference between the picture looking great and just looking good. So when you're working in Lightroom, you can use this crop tool over here to change the alignment of the photograph. And you can see this photo that I took here. This is a really important place. There's certain places where you're taking pictures where it's going to be more of an issue. If you're taking pictures at the beach, then you have a perfectly straight horizon with the water. If you're taking pictures whenever there's buildings in the background, there will also be perfectly straight lines. And so we need to match with those things in the background. So the first step is trying to take pictures straight with your camera in the first place. But here we are in Lightroom. Use the crop tool. This is a greenhouse, so I'm lining it up with the panels of the windows. And sometimes it's just the tiniest alignment. Like it's nothing drastic, but it makes a difference. And then you see how there's the box, the crop box is divided into into thirds. And when you use the corner rotation tool, you can see all of the grids, which allows you to use those grid lines to line up. So I'm looking at this particular bar here on the window. You can see how it's off, and then rotating it brings it on. And unfortunately, sometimes when you take a picture cropped in very closely, this means that the rotation will cause you to lose some of the detail or the content of the photograph. So for example, here, I'm not going to actually change the cropping because I'm happy with it. But if I were going to, let's say I wanted to line it up with this diagonal line here, I would end up having to rotate it at such a great amount that I've lost mom's face entirely just to line up with this line and this line. But obviously that's ridiculous because that's a drastic example. It's more relevant, I suppose. You can see here, like I'd really like to get rid of that bag that's in the corner. And I could rotate the picture, try and get rid of the bag. Great, but now see the line in the background is now off. It's no longer straight. And then if I were going to try and make it straight and get rid of the bag, now that's not working because the crop of the side of the photo is way too close to the grandmother's arm. And to give more space around that, I'm going to have to bring the bag back in. So there's always a little bit of give and take. What are you willing to give up whenever you have to realign the background? If I have to choose, I would rather have the horizon line straight and include something in the photograph that I don't particularly like a purse, than to sacrifice the horizon line because it really does show some sloppiness or a lack of attention to detail, unless you're doing it on purpose. And the only time when we do it on purpose is if you're using it as like a leading line, like you're putting the picture at a strange angle because you're trying to draw attention to a certain feature, I suppose. It's not very common, really, so it's hard to think of an example when you're doing family portraiture. Anyway, it's more of a fine art technique, probably. The ones that I showed you, those examples are all pretty close up, and here's an example from further away. The lines here, there's so many to line up with, and this is an example of where it's very, very minor. See, you might see that it might think that it's lined up, but look at this bar up here, and it's just a matter of that tiniest rotation to get it to line up, and it does make a difference. And then you can see the difference primarily when you're looking at the complete collection of photographs all side by side, and like they're in an online gallery being delivered to the client. And when they're all side by side like that, it's very easy for the eye to pick up on which lines are not leveled out. When you're looking at one picture on its own, it's not as obvious. So say if you're delivering an entire collection of images, that's when you're going to want to spend extra time to make sure they're all lined up. That's it.